seekers and employers throughout Middlesex County. So that's a super quick history lesson. But what I want to do is I want to engage Julie at this point because it's part of her role to initially connect with people, speak to you if you were to come in through our doors, or if you were to call over the phone or email, she would be the one initially to be connecting with you. And so, Julie, would you be able to take us through a little bit of what do folks need to know about how we operate, what we're about, and what they can expect when they come through our doors?
Thanks, Norm. Good morning, and hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. So as Norm mentioned, we are located here in Strathroy. We are an Employment Ontario service provider. And so just to back up a little bit, Employment Ontario is part of the Ministry of Labour, Training and Skills Development. So right now, you may hear about us a lot because of all the changes that we are all going through in our province and our country. So Employment Ontario is in place to help people that are looking for work, and we're also in place to help employers that are looking to hire. And so we certainly want people to know that we are here. All the services to you as a job seeker and an employer would come at no cost. So that's a very nice thing that we are able to access. We know that job searching is really tough at the best of times. And we've gone through such a change where a few months ago, well, first of all, I should back up and let you know that. So right now I'm actually here in our resource area. The doors are locked, but we are working with minimal staff. The rest of our staff are working from home. So this behind me is an area that would normally be a really busy area that people could come in, look at our job board, use our computers, but that's just looking a little bit different right now. So just back up a few months ago, you know, the job boards were busy and lots of job postings. So people that were looking had quite a variety, but that looks very different now. But through time, we always know that there's ebbs and flows when it comes to the job market. But the one thing that we know, and this has always been the case, is the right approach is more important now than ever. And one of the things that we are able to do for people is connect them with employment advisors. And that's a very useful tool that we have at our fingertips, and a resource that we have is the availability to connect people directly with employment advisors. So I'm just going to maybe introduce you to our employment advisors and then just kind of go through what we are able to do. So in the top left corner at the top is Cassie Hodgins. And Cassie is one of our employment advisors that works normally out of our Strathroy location, but does go to both the Parkhill and Lucan Library on a weekly basis in what I would say normal times, but she is still there and available remotely to help people from those areas of the county. Over to my right then at the top is Norm Wiseman. So you've already met Norm. Norm is also an employment advisor and is also our workshop facilitator. So I would be able to at any time connect you with Norm. In the middle we have Jeff DeBruin. Jeff works out of Strathroy as well as by working from the Glencoe area. So he knows that Southwest Middlesex part of our county very well and is there to support people. Matt Hill down in the bottom left-hand corner, and Matt is from our Strathroy office as well, but does support people from the Dorchester Library. So he's working out of that eastern part of our county, knowing it well. And then last but not least, we have Caitlin Pittman. And Caitlin is an employment advisor as well, works out of our Strathroy office. But Caitlin also has the unique role of being our youth job connection facilitator, and I'll maybe touch base on the Youth Job Connection Program in a little bit. But I just want to go over a few things for those of you that are joining us. So I know many that are joining us are of all different ages and different walks of life, different scenarios, but we're all individuals. And so I wanted to start by touching base on resumes. And right now, when we're talking to people, we are seeing a lot of resumes, and we're seeing a lot of people using templates, I would say. And that was just something I wanted to touch base on, the use of a template. I think we're all individuals, and we all have individual experiences, individual skills. And I think that we should be portraying those on resumes that look unique to ourselves. And so if there's one thing or one little tidbit I could take, to give you right now to those that are joining us, is our resumes really need to be tailored to ourselves and to the roles that we're applying to. So if I was to be able to connect you with an employment advisor, they would be able to help you with those resumes and really make sure that they are as individual as you are. The same for a cover letter. We're noticing people are not using cover letters enough. And there's such a variety of jobs. And I think that we're not selling ourselves well enough in our cover letters or even using a cover letter. So there's another little piece of information that I want you to think about, is that you really should be using a cover letter, and that's something that an advisor can help you put together. Job searching very much looks different right now than it may have a year ago, and it definitely looks different than it would have 10 years ago. So if you are new to job searching and you haven't done it for a long time, it very much looks different, and that's something that we can help you with. So I know a lot of people know about going to the internet and doing job searching using some of the search engines, but there's a lot more to it than that. And so we're trying to convey to people the importance of not just thinking I'm going to go to one certain site and that's all that's available, because there's certainly a lot more jobs out there than you may think, and that normally that we are not seeing on just the job search engines. I'm going to skip over to interview preparation, and I just want you to think about one thing. If you were to apply to a job today and get a call to have an interview tomorrow, would you feel ready? And if you can't confidently answer that question as a yes, that's something that I want you to give some thought to. It takes some time to prepare for an interview, and I think that that's something that people don't give enough time and thought to. And right now, we do have the time, right? You're at home, you've got some time that you could be putting into preparing, not just for interview preparation, but for the resumes, cover letters. So those are things that I think that I really hope people are making use of some time, and let us help you with that. Career planning too is something, and I know that joining us today, we have quite a few people that I have a feeling are new graduates. And sometimes as a new graduate, you've got your diploma or your degree, but you really don't know what direction you want to take that schooling to. So that's something that right now I would love to see people taking advantage of the time that they have. And that is definitely something that an employment advisor can help with. It takes, again, some strategy, some thinking, but those are all tools that they have at their fingertips. And it's pretty important to use your time wisely. So that just kind of sums up some of the many things that employment advisors can do, but just maybe Norm can also summarize what we're seeing as we talk to people over the phone right now.
Yeah, and when I meet with my various clients, I certainly spend a lot of time on resumes, on the job searching, and on interview preparation specifically right now.
Right.
Not that cover letters aren't important, but customizing resumes, making sure they're relevant and applicable to the specific posting.
Right.
Making an employer feel like you wrote this for me. And that's a really different approach than most people take.
Yeah.
They feel like if I write one resume, I'm good to go. And then the job searching, we do a lot of conversation with people. I do for sure, and I know the other advisors do as well, about the idea that it's not just about postings, but it's about people. And so implementing strong networking, information interviews, those kinds of elements into your job search. And we can walk through with you how to do those effectively. We've got templates and various questions that you can ask and those kinds of things. And then the interview prep is probably my absolute favorite. Asking people the weakness question and having them stumble the first time because they're not quite sure how to talk about it. So there's lots that we can do to support that process. So
I think people underestimate themselves too, what they have to offer, and they kind of just do some generic skills, but they don't realize what all they actually have to offer. Don't you find that?
Oh, absolutely. I think people all the time have a really difficult time speaking kind of bragging a little bit about the skills that they do bring in. So it's trying to pull that out of them and say, it's okay. This is the time to be confident and feel good about the value that you bring to an employer. So yeah, it's absolutely important.
Right. Yeah.
So Julie, why don't we move on
Sure.
and have a look at the youth program that might be available. What can you
Yeah.
share about that?
So this is an awesome, I would say it's definitely an awesome program that we are very pleased that we can offer and still can offer. It just maybe looks a little different. So this program is a program aimed at youth between 15 and 29 years of age. And I know sometimes we don't think of a youth as being 28, 29, but that's the category that the province says that they are really kind of aiming some assistance at in particular. And it's for youth that are not in school and are not engaged in any type of training. And that they have some barriers to employment. So a barrier can look like many things. It could be that they struggled in school, maybe with their math or their literacy. They may not have graduated. That's very common, that they did not get their grade 12. And that they maybe have some mental health issues, anxieties. So there's many different things that may classify as a barrier, and that is making them that they are struggling to find work. So I mentioned that Caitlin is our facilitator of that program. And so what it means is that if you were to be assessed and able to participate in this programming, it would offer 4 weeks of paid pre-employment programming. And that might look like career assessment and exploration, resume development, preparing for interviews, goals, time management, learning how to network with others, learning good communication skills with others. There's some team building exercises in there. And what it is working people through some of the struggles and barriers that they may have and preparing them for the workplace. And it's not just working towards the workplace, but maybe looking back at what can we do to help them to get that grade 12. So the nice part is that we're working gradually, working with them, but they're getting paid for that training. And it's a minimum of 60 hours. And then we can support them when they're done that pre-employment with looking towards, okay, what can we do to get them then further into roles? And I think that's then at the point that Michelle would come in and be able to really be working with them to connect them with employers.
I think one of the things that I love watching from afar with the YJC program is just how tentative some of the folks are when they start,
Very much
day
so.
1, day 2, they slowly get to know each other. And by the end of, the program, they don't want to leave.
They don't.
They have blossomed in so many ways. And so it's exciting to watch that process.
It very much is. So I always say, and I'll say this in general, and I'll use the phone right now instead of our doors. So we can't have people come through the doors, but I used to always observe from the front that it's very, very hard for people to walk through our doors, and it can be. It sometimes is just like they don't know what we do. They don't know what we're going to do for them. It may be they're just feeling really bad about the point that they're at in their life. But once they walk through those doors, we want them to feel comfortable. And the same applies to picking up the phone and calling, and the same applies to the youth. So we've saw time and again where they really were not sure if they wanted to participate. It maybe just was like, well, I'll give it a try. Their heads are down, they're not feeling good, and it is a very short time. And I see their spirits lifting up and the joy in what they're experiencing in that group setting. So I'm always really proud of it, and I'm proud of them and what they can do through that program. So.
Yeah, so if you're watching right now and you kind of fit into that category, we're going to show you some contact information at the end, and we would encourage you to email or call, and we're going to figure out some ways to offer this program even now if we can. And then as we get back to opening our doors, it will, continue to move forward. So
Sure.
Thank you so much, Julie, for sharing so much of that information and giving people a good sense for what they can expect if they were to come through. And again, I just want to mention, the idea that there's no cost to you as you access these services. And so, just another good reason to not be concerned about coming through the door or picking up the phone and calling. You're not going to have to pay, but there's a ton of value. So let's switch gears a little bit. And Michelle, I want to come to you because I know you've been super connected to both job seekers and many employers. And can you give us a sense for, so we've got job seekers watching this right now, and they're maybe wondering, like, what's going on out there? What's happening? Can you share a little bit in terms of, are employers hiring? And if so, who? What kinds of jobs seem to be most available at this point?
Yep. Hi, everybody. Glad that you could make it. So there are employers that are still hiring. Obviously, essential services need people. Fast food. Actually, nurseries are starting to open again, so I'm not sure if you heard that. Construction, places like Home Hardware, Home Depot. That's going to look very different. There's a lot of delivery positions that are available. Long-term care is still looking. They've adapted some of the positions so that other people can work at those places, like a personal support assistant. If you don't have your personal support worker, then that could be something that you could look into. I think the important part about where the employers are right now is that there are these needs that are out there that have been still out there, and then how do the employers access those people when it feels like everything has shut down? So where are they going to find these people? So we've been able to support in that way. There's been some farms that we've been able to support along the way too.
So that's awesome. So there really are a lot of opportunities out there still, and I think things are going to continue to change rapidly as we begin to see Ontario starting to open up. What things are going to look like over the next few weeks. So, so I guess I'm hearing you say, Michelle, keep job posting or keep job searching through this process. But I want to ask you a slightly different question in terms of, what are employers really looking for right now? When you're talking to an employer, what are you hearing from them in terms of, what qualities, what skills are kind of most important? And I think this doesn't matter what the industry is. What are you hearing?
Yeah, I love that question. And I thought about it quite a bit, because I think, even before COVID-19, employers are always looking for people that they can count on, be on time, do what you say you're going to do. Work hard, show up, pay attention, that kind of thing. And adaptability has probably been something that when you start something, that's important to do, and be flexible, even now more. Their employers are struggling like everybody else. They have their own sets of concerns about all the different new safety measures that they will be implementing as they reopen. And so that's a bit of a challenge for them. So some understanding, some awareness that these are some of the issues and concerns that they have. Your safety is always at the forefront of their mind, but even more so now. So creating those comfortable and safe places for people to still come and want to feel safe when they're working.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Michelle. I appreciate some of that perspective. It's really helpful. And I want to reiterate this idea. If you come and connect with us as a job seeker, Michelle's a part of the team that we can access and kind of leverage as we look to support you in the process of getting back to work. So that connection to employers is a really important part of what we can offer and how we can support you. So as we begin to kind of wrap things up, we're going to move toward some answering a few additional questions that we've kind of had along the way here. But if you're watching this and you're a current client of ours, you've connected with an employment advisor already, I just want to encourage you to stay in touch, stay connected with these folks, and keep us up to date as to how you're doing. We'll be reaching out to you, so let us know how things are going and what you need and how we can support you best, and just keep moving the process forward. It's definitely valuable to continue to keep your job search moving. But if you're looking to find work right now and you're not a client, then this is the time to give us a call. Let us support you. Let us provide that maybe boost you need to your resume and cover letter and your job search process, and helping you prepare. So we're going to show you a phone number and an email address that you can use to reach out and get the process going And so we would encourage you to call us. That's kind of your call to action. Get in touch, connect, and let us access the resources that we have to support you as you move forward. Now, some of you may be thinking, I'm not quite ready to job search yet. I'm not ready to go back to work. I need to wait. But that's okay. I would encourage you to call us too. This is a great time for us to get your kind of job search documents in place, to get a resume foundation built, to do some of that interview preparation, look at cover letters, because we know the doors are going to open soon and there's going to be a lot of competition. And I would prefer that you be ahead of the competition and be ready. The other thing that we would encourage you to do is to continue to enhance your skill set. Maybe there's something you can learn, something you can include in your arsenal and your toolkit that can help you as you move forward in getting and gaining employment. And so we've got access to some ideas and some resources that you may want to implement to learn some things. Maybe it's an Excel program or getting a certification or whatever it might be. There are ways to kind of continue to improve yourself. And then if you're an employer, we haven't talked very much about how we actually support our employers, but if you are an employer, call us as well. We're going to connect you with Michelle. There's lots of different ways that we can help, through incentives, through being a pre-screener and helping you recruit and finding the right people for the roles that you have. And so let us help you as you look for staff and look to train your staff and those kinds of things. So again, connect and call us. So I know we've had a few questions along the way, and so I do, Michelle, I want to kind of go back to you for a second and just wonder, we've had people asking, are there specific, like if I'm in a situation where the pandemic's still happening and I might be going to the front lines a little bit, is it okay for me to ask an employer questions in an interview about COVID-19 and how they're dealing with it? And like, is that an appropriate thing for me to be able to do?
I would say absolutely. Usually when the interview starts, there's other things that, they're gonna start asking you, and you can get a sense of where they're at, because in some cases it's so in your face that it's already being done. So you might even find the interview already set up in a way where you can see the safety. So if you're being interviewed and your interviewee is 6 feet away and they're wearing a mask and they ask you to wear a mask, that's a pretty good indicator right there that they do practice that. But definitely safety is always a priority, and something that, for any position that you're going for, any of those concerns that you have are valid and important to get clarity on.
Awesome. Okay. Julie, when it comes to, sometimes you get a call from someone or someone walks through the door and they might be a younger person and they haven't worked before. How do we, help someone that way, or what kind of advice can we give someone like in that situation?
Sure. Well, that's very common, and we get that question a lot. So everybody has to start somewhere, and I let people know that we all have had to have our first resume. So there again, and I think I touched base earlier, we all have these skills and experiences that a lot of times we do not put enough emphasis on those experiences and what that can add to us. So, we would just start by talking, like, have you done any volunteering? Our high schools, we all do some volunteering, the volunteer hours that are required. So what did you do? What did that look like? Have you helped out neighbors? Have you done things for grandparents? So we just start pulling out life experiences, and even at 14, 15, we've all done a few things. So what can we look at? Sometimes it's some brainstorming over who you would use for your references. Sometimes that can be really hard. So it's just pulling those little pieces of information and life experiences out, and then start to put them into a format that can be handed out.
Right. So, and that's a great part of it, in terms of that conversation, right? I think the more we talk with someone, the more we learn and the more we can pull out, and
Sure.
the more opportunity there is to really identify the things that make you unique and the value that you can bring to an employer. And like you said earlier, I think we do underestimate ourselves sometimes, and what employers will
Right.
believe is important and valuable. So I know one of the questions that I've had, certainly from a number of the clients that I've been working with, is this idea of I've been sending off all kinds of resumes, and I'm not hearing back from anyone. You know, what should I do?
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I encourage the people that I talk to consider is it's okay to follow up. So that's one of the things that I would encourage. And I would walk through with you, you know, when did you send your resume? How did you apply? Do you have a connection there? But then following up, it's okay to make a call and check in and see, did you receive my application? Have they started the process of interviewing, and express your interest again? And so that piece of it, you know, the stats that I've heard is that only about 1 out of 5 really do any kind of follow-up. And so it's not very many at all that go through that process. The other piece that I want to mention is that some employers at this stage may just be waiting. They're kind of gathering resumes. They're hopeful that the doors are going to open soon, but they're not really moving forward on much. They're just kind of gathering. They're starting the recruiting process, but they're not ready to make a call to anyone. So we may need to be patient a little bit with some of this. And then the third thing that I would say to folks that aren't getting any response when they apply is that maybe we need to look at your marketing tools. We need to look at your resume and say, what's happening? What are they seeing when they open this up? Is there anything that we can do to change your resume to make them actually want to call you? And so I think there's a number of different approaches that we can look at and take and be thinking about if you're not getting calls from employers right now. Julie or Michelle, do either of you have questions that you've been receiving that we think would be helpful in the last minute or so here?
Oh, sorry, Michelle, you go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. I was just going to add to that, Norm, because what I'm seeing, I've been doing a lot of pre-screenings for quite some time now, and I'm not sure if people are aware that Indeed sometimes, yeah, I honestly, in the last 2 days, I've gotten several resumes that have nothing on it. So I don't know if, and the one gentleman I spoke to, he actually had a lot more, but it didn't get through in Indeed. So the resume came with just their education and pretty much nothing else. So the value of connecting with us is actually that ability to have a more strategic focus, because once you connect with somebody, it's the people and it's those connections. So that's I just want everybody to be aware of that. In those types of resumes being submitted, there's a lot that I get. So hundreds of resumes every single day. So just, you want it to be focused and tailored to the job, and get an employment advisor to help you. That's, yeah.
Absolutely. Julie, I know we've kind of come to the end of our time. Was there another question you wanted to touch base on, or?
Just one person had asked about, when you mentioned about the resources, if there's many that are free. And so that I just wanted to address that there are definitely many things out there that are at no cost that we can be doing. So those are things that we can help you look up if you want to connect with us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you both, Michelle and Julie, for being a part of this. And I just want to remind folks, get in touch with us, contact us. The phone number is there, 519-245-4500. We've always got someone in the office during the week between 9 and 4:30. So we'll do our best to answer the phone. And if you do leave a message, we'll get back to you as quickly as we can. And then the email there, reception@communityemploymentchoices.ca, is the best way to reach us through email. And again, someone will get back to you very quickly and begin the process of connecting you with the resources and supports that you need. You can also visit our website, communityemploymentchoices.ca. So there is information there about who we are and what we do, as well as some job postings. And then Work in Middlesex is another really good website for those of you that are living in Middlesex County. There's some very focused job postings there. And so that's a site that you'll want to look at for job postings and for our events as well. And then I would also mention Facebook. If you're on Facebook, I would encourage you to follow us. And we update along the way, job postings and just information and resources for you. So thanks so much for joining us today. We appreciate everyone having been a part of this, and we look forward to hearing from you in the very near future.